be careful. You're going mad high. You're gonna fly off.
Mind if I sit here? I don't wanna.
No, go ahead, man. You're good. Go ahead. Cool. No problem, man.
It's fine. Just keep playing there. I'm Rick.
Oh, what's up?
How you doing?
How you doing, Rick?
Which one's your child?
Mine's the Daredevil on the swings.
Yo, she's going like real high.
Oh, I'm Jerry, by the way.
Oh, Jerry? It's cool.
We can do this again?
We can do it again.
All right. That's not weird.
No, not at all. Look, fathers at a park.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I take it the one eating sand is your little...
Yeah. Choo-choo! Get the sand. Get sand out your mouth. Choo-choo!
She's chewing it. What is she, like 2?
Yeah, that's a good guess. Like, literally turning 2 like next month.
I remember when Amaya was 2.
Wait. Now let me guess.
Are you gonna...
Maybe around 10?
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
She's 8.
8?
But nice. Yeah. You'll get better at it. You'll get better. You still got that smell.
What?
Involvement in Dad-rahpy, like explain that to everybody. Let them know.
I will let y'all know. So Dad-rahpy, or my husband, as everyone met, Spiritual When, he wrote it. And when he wrote it, he was like, oh, hey, babe, I wrote this. And when we do it, I would love to see if you can also co-direct with me, because he knew I wanted us to direct again, something that wasn't my own. And I was like, okay, sure. So that's how I got on board. He asked, and I was like, okay, I'm down. Thank you.
So did you ever find yourself at a point that you were going over the pages with him, or you were helping him proofread it?
Meaning in the writing, or when we were doing shot lists and stuff like that?
When you were in the shot list, it's like, okay, this would work in terms of a shot, but this won't work.
Okay, so the way we did that process was I looked at everything first on my own, and that way I had something to come to the table with. So I looked at everything on my own. I wrote for each episode, I broke it down, wrote all my notes of like how we should do it, blah, blah, blah. And then I came to him and I was like, this is what I have. And then from there, we had a discussion like what will work, what I thought would work. He said what he thought would work. And then that's how we made it work.
So both men have mentioned, both Jerry and Rick have mentioned that it's both, the stories of fatherhood. As you know, as a woman in the media, as a media consumer, that we all are at some point in our lives, or thanks to social media, we all are media consumers, whether we like it or not.
A word.
How did you feel about the subject in general, in terms of representing it?
Oh, the subject, I thought it was when he came to me with the idea and the fact that he already had written when he came to me, he already had written like 2 or 3. I thought it was amazing because he was able to vent his situation with fatherhood, as well as revisit his issues with his dad, which he already had dealt with. But I feel like when you become a parent, those childhood things that you thought you worked on, they come and they resurface. And it's a time where you now have to deal with new issues that you thought were resolved, but they weren't. So I thought that it was amazing. And I thought it was so beautiful of him to be able to do that, because now he's not only letting go, but he's also sharing with the audience, with men who are usually don't allow themselves to be vulnerable, don't talk about this. A lot of men are machista and they don't, share about how they really feel and are honest about like what they're going through, especially with how they dealt with their parents. And I thought that was the most amazing and beautiful, humbling thing to do, because this story is very special, and it's not really, you know, out there. A lot of men don't talk about it, but for women, like for us, you know, as a mom, I found a lot of resources as a mom, you know, when I was going through stuff. And for fathers, we don't really have that for men. A lot of women talk, like we find like our friends, or, oh my God, what you're going through, but not, men don't have that. I feel I don't see it. And I think this is amazing. And a lot of people, like even for my, like, I would love for my father to see these episodes too, so he could learn, you know, a little bit, even though it might not change him, but at least he's seeing it from a male's perspective.
The show. What was your aha moment?
As in like coming up with the idea, or
yes.
Okay, so the show came about around during the pandemic, right? So I was creating, I was finishing writing my third one-man play. And while I was finishing that, I was like, well, I know I can't, because I was supposed to be on pace to perform it during the pandemic. But I was like, well, pandemics happen, I can't perform anywhere. So let me keep finishing it up and getting it better. Then once that was done, and then I was working on something else that I wanted to do, I had this idea about fatherhood already. And it was just like in the back of my head. I put it like in a pot, and like a sancocho, I was just letting it marinate, right? And then I said, I want to do something about fathers, and there should be more content about there. I feel like there's a lot of content for women in motherhood, and if your breast is not working with the milk, there's a support group for that. If you having postpartum, there's a group for that. If you feeling depressed, or you just want to choke your kid out because you're stressed and your husband is not helping you, there's a support for that. And I'm just like, what the fuck is the support for dudes? Like, we're going through my titty working, but I don't got milk coming out of it. But at the same time, like, I need someone to vent to sometimes too, because we go through some real shit. So, and there was like a little bit, and I was like, there should be more content of that. Just, and then how I like to work, I just like to go to the heart of it as well. I want to make you laugh, but I want to make you think, and I want to give you some lessons that will help me. And I want to go to I want to cut you in the jugular about the real shit. So I had this idea about two guys. Yeah. Kill you with the truth.
Wait.
I had this idea with two guys, fathers, talk about fatherhood and all that stuff. And then I said, okay, what am I going to do? So it wasn't until I would take my daughter to the park one day, and I like to observe the world around me. And I saw all these empty benches. And I feel like as a human beings, we don't use these benches anymore. Benches are there for us to sit down, take a breather, chat, communicate, observe, meditate, whatever. If the bench is a bench. And I'm like, we don't use this no more. Why are we're all like engaged in our phones and not even communicating with nobody? And I was like, aha, it's going to be about two fathers talking about fatherhood, and they meet at a children's park on a bench. I said, that's it. I got my location. I got what I wanted. Now, what do I want to talk about? Not just only about fatherhood, right? But what about our lives, my life, my fatherhood, my personal thing. So like fatherhood is this big world. So I wanted to keep the series short to right, 10 to 12 minutes around that frame. And I wanted to also just give you a taste of fatherhood, but also what also affects fatherhood is our own personal relationships with our parents, because that can trickle down to relationship that we'll have with our kids. And that's also part of fatherhood. Because we tend to think that the moment we have a child, we want to be the best thing we could for that child, and that's great. But we don't heal our own personal demons and issues within our own parents, which can naturally trigger to the kid, and subconsciously. So I wanted to talk about that, because we're so easy to be like, I do everything for my baby. I do everything, dreams and goals, and all of a sudden it becomes about this child. And it's true, but you forget about yourself, and you're not supposed to. And also you forget your own pain, and you forget that you're also human. And then that kid is looking at you, is looking up to you, and it realizes that you're human, but you're going to make the same, maybe similar mistakes that your parents did. And they're going to look at it and not realize until you're older and be like, yo, Dad, I didn't appreciate when you did this. And you're like, I was there for you. How could you? Oh my God. Like, but you know what I'm saying? So it was all of that. And I was like, let me try to create this within 12 minutes.
Well, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. So
basically talking about we're two guys, both in different situations, right? I'm a single father. He's a father that's married, and basically the circumstances that men have to deal with, or even not even circumstances. We wanted to break some of the stereotypes and some of the myths that were out there as far as like what a father or fathers that look like us may be, how we may be, you know, how we may be acting out. Actually, yeah. So we did it for one of the reasons that you just said right now. It's like, I'm a mom. I know this much about fatherhood. And I think sometimes perspective gets, and that's what we wanted to like, you know, because sometimes there's like this stigma, especially with dads, that, you know, that we're not as involved, or we don't put in our share, or we're not as connected to our kids, or we don't sacrifice as much. And, you know, we want, especially Latino, you know, and we're both Afro Latinos. I'm a Black Latino. We don't have we don't have those portrayals of us out in anywhere in Hollywood or anything. And mostly, usually we're portrayed as the fathers that abandon and are not there and stuff like that. We just wanted to like, you know, we do a lot. We're really involved with our kids. We're really, you know I know Rick is. So we were like, you know, when he approached me, he wrote, you know, I have to give kudos. He wrote all of this. He put all of this together. I came in and added my touches to it. And I'm going to give him full credit, though. He borrowed some stuff from my life a little bit just to make it a little bit more realistic and to give it that oomph that needed. But for the most part, yeah, this is from his mind. And when we sat down, when we talked, you know, we were talking about fatherhood and some of the stuff that, you know, we had so many things in common. I'm a couple of years ahead of him with my kid. So he was just like, hey, man, I'm trying to put this together. We need something. And then as we went talking, and we basically it's funny because our chemistry is building up on screen. And it's actually very, it's very real. Our chemistry is building up as the same as the episodes are progressing. Our relationship in real life is actually also progressing and building. And even though him and I are very cool, we're very good friends. And, you know, now it's getting better. Like we really didn't know each other that way. We just knew each other in passing. And now we like know each other.
I noticed, it was like an osmosis effect, or like, you know, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I know you because I know that person, and that person knows me because I work with them in that thing, and it's typical.
And I mean, you see each other years. Yeah, there's people that you see each other for years, and this is one of the things. Like one of these guys, like we always ran into each other, mutual respect. You know, he's great at what he does. He respected what I did, and when we kind of came together, it's kind of blended into this, and that's why it's very genuine. That's why we're putting our very raw emotions and putting some of our own stuff into it. Because to make it relatable, because especially as dads, like who can't relate to this stuff? And sometimes it's on the other end, like the perspective of the child. So you don't have to be a father. You could be the child, and everybody's that. You don't have to be a guy or a girl or whatever you identify as for that.